it's Natasha, and thank you so much for joining me today because I am going to be using some clearance embellishments. Now this is some light chipboard, and when I mean light, I mean light. This is feather light. Now, I had not really worked with this stuff before except for this previous video that I did just a little while ago. That's only a couple of videos back. I will link it, and it is I kind of used a chevron-y looking pattern. This is just snip through this. It is very, very lightweight chipboard. But the best thing is that all of these are on clearance right now. So I will link several of these below in sort of all different patterns, but they are like a quarter of the, this whole set was maybe, I think it was $1 something, $1.40 or something for the whole thing. And I can make several cards out of this. I love it. It's a border ready to go, but it is extremely lightweight. So perfect for putting through the mail. Now I knew I wanted to have a little bit of help. I'm into quick and easy card making, and I have been loving these backgrounds. I picked up a few of them. As I said, I will link several down below, and as they're on clearance, it'll definitely just be, you know, however many's left, and I have no idea how many that is. But today I'm going to be using, this is the Vicky Boutin, this is the Kaleidoscope Collection paper pad. These are 6 by 8, and I'm just really browsing through these. Her paper pads are stunning and just really creative, and also I love that they can coordinate, but there's also heaps of different patterns and things. It's just a really good variety in a paper pad, and obviously 6 by 8, so I can get several pieces, at least a couple of uses out of each piece of paper. This one, I'm going for the background here to just be a fine, this gorgeous little fine newspaper print. Nothing too bold because I want something bold to be inside of the frame. So I'm purely creating this as a background paper for the frame. I think even some newsprint, a book page, something like that, or if you had a background stamp, you could create this with a little bit of watercolor wash behind it. I mean, just really easy to create your own, but I have this paper pad and that's working perfectly for me. So I can see that's pretty good. I still need to do a little bit of trimming, but it's good for now. I just roughly cut it out. And now I'm going to move on to creating what's going in the center. So I'm keeping this super, super simple. Now this is the Pink Fresh Studios Dainty Blossoms kit. This is an old die set. I think it's still available, but what I like about this is that it's a standalone die set. I am struggling with the options that come out these days that you really have to buy a stencil, a die, and a stamp to kind of make the image work. I mean, I know you can do it without having to buy 2 or 3 or 4 or all of them, and you can do it alone, but honestly, the image doesn't always look complete. But yeah, sometimes I just want to buy the one image that I really like and be able to use it as is. So I'm not a huge fan of those. It's a lot of money, a lot of money to invest. So that's why I like these stock standard die sets where you cut the die and you're good to go. So this one I have cut this out with some just regular paper. This is not watercolor paper, but to keep all those little bits in there, I did use some double-sided tape just on the back to keep all the little bits in place, and I thought they would just create a more solid image for what I'm after, but I like that I have the option of being able to take them out as well. Then I'm going to use some Ulta New watercolor brushes. This is the spring set. I know that there are, I'm assuming, probably all of the seasons of the year, but I have the spring set and I'm pretty content with just that. But I must admit, so I did this out of the Frenchville paper that I use. I get it from Spotlight here in New Zealand. I know that the identical one is available in Australia. On special, it's around $17 for an entire ream, which that's New Zealand dollars, and which is very, very good value. I make my card bases and my card fronts out of it, and it is £110, so really good quality. But even better than that, it stamps beautifully on it beautifully. I can use alcohol markers on it and they blend beautifully on it, but also this, the watercolor, the greens blended beautifully. So I'm not sure what's going on, but I love this paper, so I'm going to stick with it. Now I am going to just sort of do some pinks, some purples, and then I have a couple of those little flowers there that I'll do as well. I did yellow in the center of the flower. I did not like how that turned out. It looks, you know, and so I was like, I will deal with that later. It just didn't look quite right to me. It looked a little bit too I'm not sure. Didn't look quite right, so we can figure that out later. Anyhow, this is another page from the exact same paper pad, and I could have chosen so many backgrounds in this, and I kind of did look at it for a long time, but I knew I needed a bigger card. This one is actually going to be a little farewell card for somebody going around a workplace. So often they like to have them a bit bigger because they are going to have lots of people sign the inside of them, so that's absolutely fine. She said no sentiment, so that's easy. And this is just sort of a generic front that's bright and colourful, and that everybody has room to write on the inside. So I'm just trimming these corners. Nobody's going to see this, so all it is the background. It just needs to be, pretty quick and simple. And I'm just going to use my little cutter bee scissors for this. And then I just pop some liquid glue around the back of the frame, this gorgeous chipboard frame. And then I will pop this on to the base that we created. So just really, really simple. As I said, the flower is kind of bright and colourful that we created with the watercolours. So I just needed the background to be literally a background. So that's fine. Again, you could easily make this. If you know me, if you've watched my channel, you know I'm not a big fan of measuring. Measuring is not my strong point. And so I was laughing as I was editing this because it's probably not great etiquette, but that's okay because it's just what I like doing. So I'm measuring, I'm just kind of holding my piece in the middle there. I want it to be in the center of that little thing going on. And so I just sort of cut it to where I think might be a good card size. And then after that, I create the card base to go with what I've already made. So I'm just really making things to suit myself. And that's okay because I'll make a custom envelope. I know that everybody is going to sign the card. It'll go in the envelope. It's going with her gift and being handed to her in person. So I know that it doesn't matter what size the card is. So I'm going to do it to suit myself. So this ended up being about, I think 5 by 7-ish inches, something around there. It doesn't even matter what it is. I just made it to suit myself. And so I didn't need a border. I didn't need any of that because there was no white left on the card. So I didn't need to leave a white border. I didn't need to incorporate that color. So this colorful background goes right to the edges, and if you mismeasured, just cut afterwards. I did an okay job, but if you mismeasured, just give it a trim. That's okay too. There's no one to say any rules about it, so you can just do as you please. Then I'm just going to glue this right in the center. That's another thing with this 110 pound cardstock, is that when you're using liquid glues, nothing is going to warp or get crinkly or anything like that. So that is a really good option. Now, I was about to add liquid glue onto the back of my flower, but then I just saw that I added all that double-sided tape, so why not make use of it and take off the release paper, and then it's pretty much going to stick itself down. I think on a couple of the littler flowers, I added just a teensy bit of liquid glue. I might do that later on, but I can pop this down in the center. Very, very simple. That frame just sort of made everything super easy. When I looked at it, I knew what I was going to do with it, and this is just a really gorgeous, simple card to create. So I hope that you've enjoyed this. As I said, these are clearance items, so I will link them down below, but it's probably first in, first served. And other than that, thank you so much for joining me today. I will have links to the other products I've used down below, as well as a link to the Buy Me a Coffee if you'd like to support my channel. Thank you so much. That's all I can really say is thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting me, and I'll see you next time.